fucking... Okay. Welcome back to Follow Equestria, everybody. I said I would at least have 2 videos up by tomorrow, which is Monday. I'm recording them today on Sunday, but they'll be up tomorrow. Oh, god damn it. I still have a stuffed nose, and I have a cough, so I might not talk as much during these. But I'll probably still come up with some stuff to talk about. If there's anything talk-worthy, there probably is.
Even though she recovered quickly. What? I asked. Nothing. She lied. I took the audio recording and memory orb, keeping them separate from the mess of orbs I had collected from the floor. I offered Zenith the cloak. Its dingy color would provide better camouflage than her stark stripes, and it was too large for me. She nodded and put it on, but it slipped off. The neck clasp was broken. I opened the second safe and jumped back in alarm at the pulsing, swirling lights that poured out. Inside were 4 egg-shaped objects that glowed with a hypnotic dance of dark colors. What? Zenith trotted closer, studying the objects without looking directly into them. Balefire eggs.
What?
I stared dumbly for a moment as my brain deciphered this. That's right. Fluttershy didn't actually design city-destroying spells. She designed the magical framework that would take the normal spell and augment it to beyond. Well, beyond anything they really imagined. But, like the healing spell, there had to be a magic to be amplified. These Balefire eggs were the base magic for the mass-murdering Balefire bombs. How big an explosion? I asked my zebra companion. I don't know. I was never alive 200 years ago fighting in a war where these were used.
They're Fat Man nukes! We gotta find the Fat Man somewhere. It's gotta be around here.
I imagined the Ministry Morale confiscated these on a raid of some sort. I could see why they would still be locked up. The third safe held what looked like a Pegasus Enclave helmet with a built-in recollector, complete with a black opal. It also held a lot of paperwork, labeled CZA, including many photographs too warped by age to make out. I yanked the paperwork out, scattering it on the floor as I tried to get at something that was hidden behind it. Citizen Zebra Activities, Zenith said behind me, reading one of the folders I had knocked out of the safe. Your government was paying close attention to every zebra living in Equestria. Not my government, I corrected swiftly. And the Ministry Morale was watching every pony. Behind the papers was what looked like a first-generation pip-buck. The pip-buck was still closed, and there were ancient blood stains in the felt lining. It had been removed through amputation, hopefully post-mortem. I quickly plugged the pip-buck into my own and started looking through the files, but they were encrypted with that odd dual encryption which I had discovered my first night out of Stable 2. The only thing I could get from it was an auto-mapped floor plan for Stable 3. The stable looked identical to Stable 2, except that the apple orchard was only 2/3 the size, and there were 2 interlocking Overmare's offices. I shuddered inexplicably. The final safe was the one Red Eye had been using, and...
Why are you shuddering? And why is the apple orchard only 1/3 the size if it's the same size of stable? Maybe we'll learn. Maybe we'll learn about this, because one of the most interesting things in Fallout is learning about the vaults and the history and why. That's the important question. Why were they designed this way? What was the experiment this time? You know, that's important.
It held the big prize. The schematics for the radiation-powered engine. Zenith took an involuntary step back from the poster at the top of the stairwell. Doom Bunny, she whispered enigmatically. I stared from my zebra companion
What?
into the poster and back. It was the same poster I'd seen in the clinic, only this time in better repair. Fluttershy, surrounded by animals with the words, "Remember, we are all in this together. Care for one another." At first, I thought Zenith was referring to Fluttershy. It almost made sense. I could see Fluttershy being regarded as a bringer of doom and destruction, considering her connection to the megaspells. And she was abundantly cute. Then, my eyes caught the little white rabbit sitting on her head. My eyes went up and I turned to Zenith in disbelief. Doom Bunny? Seriously?
The Angel's a piece of shit.
You would not understand. You have not heard the tales of Fluttershy's protector. My ears were tilted, and I knew I was giving her the most astoundingly dubious look. Doom Bunny was a whore on the battlefield. Fluttershy came to heal even the zebra soldiers, and her protection annihilated anyone foolish enough to try to attack her. The bunny. Oh, Doom Bunny was more than just a rabbit. Doom Bunny was death with sharp, pointy teeth. She was messing with me. She had to be messing with me. More powerful than a creature several times its size, thanks to chemicals Doom Bunny brewed in secret laboratories. Chemicals. This was insane.
Something tells me the story has been distorted and changed over the 200 years. Yeah.
Zenith lowered her face to mine, speaking in that odd accent. Oh yes, Doom Bunny was a master in the laboratory. I also heard it could cook and toss a mean salad. She smiled just a little.
No, he can't. He needs Fluttershy to cook for him.
Although, from the look in her eyes, not entirely. We moved on, finding ourselves all too appropriately in what seemed to be a research laboratory floor. Beyond the stairwell was a single door with a small window set into it. Through the window, we could see a sprawling place dedicated to arcane and earth pony sciences. A huge picture window on the far end of the room glowed with the deepening red-tinted light of Philadelphia. The day was ending. The sun would set soon. We slipped through the door quietly. The one pony trotting around inside had not noticed our entry. Zenith made quick work of him. I put down the automatic rifle and started tugging off his lab coat. Zenith raised an eyebrow as I shucked it on. It's not much protection, I admitted, but anything is better than nothing. I could have taken the armor from Red Eye's guards, but after nearly being killed by a Pegasus, I wasn't going to make that mistake again. Besides, I feel more science-y. Zenith rolled her eyes and trotted towards the apothecary cabinets in the trotting closet towards the back of the room. She put a hoof through the lock of the first one and pulled it open. I pulled out the audio recording, downloading it to my pip-buck, intending to play it while we gave the room a look over. My eyes fell on the schematics for Party Time Mint Owls. This research lab certainly would have everything I needed to make some, and I was feeling increasingly desperate. It took a severe force of will to scroll away from the recipe. I found myself thinking of Calamity, Velvet Remedy, Homage. I remembered Homage's sweet voice, and something she said floated back to me. Oh, a mixture of rage and painkillers. A friend and I found the recipe in the ruins of an MOP clinic when we were younger. I blinked, then called out to Zenith. Wait, you mean to tell me that Fluttershy's pet rabbit invented Stampede? Hello? Rarity's voice asked in my earloom as I started looking through the terminals and notes that filled the lab. It was swiftly becoming clear that I was getting only one side of the conversation. Oh, hello, Your Majesty. How delightful of you to call. Oh, same as always. So much to do, so many projects, and so little time. Honestly, half the time I feel the same about running a ministry as Fluttershy felt about being a model. But the other half, I absolutely love it. Of course, I still find time to create new dresses, and I do get my beauty sleep. I think I'd go insane if I didn't. Oh, no. A few missed meals never hurt any pony, and it helps me keep my figure. Yes, I did hear what happened to Zecora, and I'm as enraged by it as any pony. I've already promised Pinkie Pie any resources my ministry has to offer to help hers hunt down the brutes responsible and bring them to justice. On the plus side, you have to admit the new poster line is really effective. Rarity sounded legitimately upset about Zecora, and only thinly pleased about the effectiveness of her new propaganda. The name was familiar. Oh yes, the zebra who was Applejack's friend, possibly a friend of all of them. I could see why Rarity would draw the connection. Pinkie Pie? She's always a eccentric darling. No, not any more than usual. No, Princess Luna, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Strange and Pinkie Pie go hoof and hoof. You just learn to accept that about her and love her all the more for it. I recalled how Twilight Sparkle and the Vinyl Scratch Orb had commented on everyone covering for Pinkie Pie and her addiction. I was immediately thankful I'd resisted the urge to make more party-time mint owls. I will admit, however, that I'm getting a bit worried about a few of my other friends. Well, I've heard a rumor, just a rumor, mind you, that Applejack is having some trouble within her own ministry. No, I really couldn't say. And Twilight, have you seen her recently? She's just exhausted, and terribly stressed. The poor dear has taken on so much responsibility, and so much work. Well, you have to admit, other than me, of course, Twilight Sparkle is the only one who has really tried to run her ministry, rather than just tossing ideas at them like horseshoes. And the less said about Rainbow Dash's ministry, the better. And with the big move underway, and Spike started his draconic adolescence, so you just know he's a real saddleful right now. No. But Princess Luna, I really think Twilight Sparkle needs a vacation. No, everybody else is fine. At least they were the last when I saw them. Fluttershy's doing brilliantly. I see her every week. I do wish I could see the others more often. They were my first real friends. My only ones, to be honest. And I miss them all terribly. But there's just always so much to do. I can't remember the last time we were all together. Oh, wait, I can. It was Pinkie Pie's birthday party. No, not this year's. Last year, I think. Or was it the year before? For the first time in this conversation, Rarity's voice faltered. I could feel the sadness she was trying to hide. It resonated deeply. Maybe because my heart held a similar ache. Oh no, I'm fine. It's just... sometimes it feels like we're pulling apart. And I can't stand to see that happen. I really must do something about it. I needed my friends. I was trembling from more than just pain as the audio recording drew to a close. No, Princess...
It kept going, but, like, this is what I was talking about earlier. They need each other. They are at their strongest when they're together. Twilight always takes on too much responsibility. Rainbow Dash doesn't know what the fuck she's doing in this. I mean, like, she was the manager of the weather team, so I would have expected her to actually be better at this, but, you know, personal interpretations of the character. All this shit, like, they work better together, so instead of getting multiple ministries, which they never should have had, Luna, you fucking dipshit. I like Luna. I like her, but no. You done bad. Whether you're in Elysium, Tartarus, or the Underworld, you can see you did bad. Oh. This actually brought up what I brought up a long time ago about that, so I called that shit. I called it.
Luna, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you for calling. I reread the entries that had been concealed within the terminal at the lead researcher's desk. A desk which held an ashtray, a box of cigars, and nearly 24 bottle caps. Bypass spells. According to the research I was seeing, the Ministry of Arcane Sciences had cracked it already, about a month before the end of their world. They had even begun limited use. Not for weapons, but to create shield screens that would only allow specific materials to pass through. Red Eye's research in here had been twofold. First, his scientists had been working to apply a bypass to some sort of weapon effect. The full details had been redacted after the research had been successful. From what little I could read, that was less than a week before I had arrived. I was willing to extend the Steel Ranger's elder the benefit of the doubt and assume she didn't know. The second line of research was ongoing, and had met with considerably less promising results. Red Eye was trying to figure out how to trick a bypass into ignoring something it wasn't designed to ignore. Zenith had filled a bag full of herbs and chemicals from the supply closet, and was trotting back towards me when something outside the window made her freeze in her tracks. I abandoned the terminal, and moved to her side as quickly as my legs and breath would allow. I stared out the window as something huge came out of the red glow of the Philadelphia crater. It was an armored black alicorn, easily 3 times the size of a normal one, the air about her rippling with power. She flew towards us.
It says a lot when my first thought was not Little Pippa, Blackjack. No, nope.
Leaving swaths of energy in her wake. What is that? I couldn't speak further. My mouth had gone dry. She's been basking in the radiation of the Philadelphia crater, Zenith commented. Then, as if explaining to a child, the creatures of radiation do not merely heal in its presence. If they absorb enough of it, they go stronger, more powerful. Alicorns could become massive behemoth super alicorns? I squeaked in impotent rage. That's not fair. I looked up towards the sky, cursing.
The fuck are you talking about fair? You got level ups. How is that fair? None of these people get it. They have level ups. They're NPCs. They don't get perks. Okay. Don't talk about fair, Missy.
Celestia and Luna in turn. Wasn't it enough that they were magically far more adept than I? That they were smart, crafty, fucking telepathic, with shields that only a small number of things could apparently get through. And they could fly. Oh, and go invisible. Or teleport. I found enough voice to rasp at the heavens. What do you want from me? In your names, what the fuck do you want? A field of dark blue light wrapped around the enormous window. The glass began to vibrate. I had a sudden image of the abattoir that I had turned the maze of mirrors into. Run, I whispered to Zenith. We turned and fled. As we dived through the door to the stairwell, I heard the window shatter. And I heard none of the shards hit the ground. I spun and shoved the door closed behind us in an eye blink before the super alicorn sent hundreds of lethal shards of glass into the door. When the barrage ended, I lifted myself up and dared to peek through the little window on the door. I watched as the huge black alicorn swept into the room and activated her shield. A bubble of scintillating force expanding around her with enough power to tear into the floor and ceiling, blasting apart desks and chemistry sets. The energy sloughing off the bubble caused nearby terminals to explode in sprays of sparks. I saw the automatic rifle which I'd left behind fall through the broken floor into the level below. Well, at least I didn't have to worry about destroying the research. I turned away, terrified, and discovered that I could make myself gallop far faster than my body wanted to let me. It hurt. My chest raged as if I was breathing liquid fire. But I ran.
She's using the alicorn's using the bypass spell for shields, but select number of stuff can get through, and Lil Pip now has a note for what can get through. Okay, this gonna be good.
The alicorn blasted up through the floor into the hallway. Her size was too big to comfortably move through the space, but it hardly mattered. Her shield just ripped away the walls as she pressed near them, chewing up parts of the offices on either side. The thought flashed through my mind that she might just bring the whole building down on top of the three of us. Her horn blazed with an almost black light. Her shield dropped briefly as she lashed out with dark energies that only crudely resembled black lightning. I tore around a corner, my body feeling like it was about to explode, and then explode again. Zenith was in front of me, moving far more gracefully. The hallway behind us was shredded into a smell of ozone and black licorice. I followed her up another flight of stairs, screaming out in agony and hating the building for making us climb when the damn monster behind us didn't have to. The super alicorn tore through the ceiling, hovering in front of us as we made it to the top. I stumbled and crashed to a stop, realizing with utter loathing that we would have to go back down. Only, my body didn't want to move anymore. My body just wanted to give up and die. I felt Zenith bite into my mane and toss me onto her back. The giant black alicorn spread her wings and pointed her horn. A point of light flickered in front of her shield, then spiraled to create an opening. I realized with dismay and amazement that even if I had my magic, it would be useless. The alicorn's shield was so powerful even she couldn't cast a spell through it. Zenith went down, dropping me like a sack of pain. I saw her twitching. Heart attack spell. She would be permanently damaged or dead within seconds. I screamed at the super alicorn for being so ridiculously powerful and evil and totally unfair. At the goddesses for allowing such a nightmare to exist and for making me face it just after I lost my...
Throw the balefire egg through the hole. It will be fucking cool. Critical that shit, Little Pip.
Magic too. At the Philadelphia crater for being so damn radioactive. With a rage-fueled strength beyond what I could actually muster, I wrenched my suffering body off the floor and galloped at the creature, which I suddenly realized looked an awful lot like those old pictures of Nightmare Moon. I leapt, jumping partway into the opening of the Super Alicorn's shield. The edge cut deeply into my chest, like I was hanging on a curved razor blade. I struggled, cutting myself even worse, my blood pouring down both the inside and outside of the shield. The Alicorn at least had the grace to look shocked. I had successfully caused her to drop the spell, attacking Zenith's heart. I couldn't get inside with her, but with a mortally wounded cry, I tossed my head back, pulled open one of my saddlebags, and dumped the contents inside the shield. Dozens of memory orbs scattered along the bottom of the magical bubble. The Alicorn glanced at them and was very unimpressed. She turned her attention to me. In a panic, I realized what was about to happen and kicked myself away before the hole in the shield scythed closed. If I'd been any slower, the Super Alicorn's shield would have cut me in half. I collapsed, bleeding heavily on the floor. That was it. I was done. Time to sleep now. But, as I passed out, there was a slight smile on my face, despite all the pain. I had saved Zenith, and I had proven that you could trick one of these fucking cunts the same way twice. The last thing I saw before darkness overwhelmed me was the Alicorn floating in her impervious bubble, cut off from every danger except for a few dozen memory orbs. And 4 balefire eggs. I never heard the explosion, but Zenith later told me it was loud, only louder. When I awoke, we were in a Buck's bathroom. I was propped up in a stall, looking out at a poster of Pinkie Pie, watching you piss forever. I didn't hurt anywhere near as much as I should, assuming I simply wasn't dead. And really, who would put a Pinkie Pie poster in a bathroom in heaven? Or for that matter, in a bathroom anywhere? Which worried me considerably. I felt lightheaded and odd. I looked down. I was wrapped in healing bandages, probably 3 or 4 medical kits worth. There were more on the floor next to me, blood-drenched and spent. I had been here for some time. My mind grudgingly realized I was doped up on painkillers. This escape plan was going well. Zenith trotted back into view. "You are an insane pony." "Thank you." "I wish I could let you rest some more, but we must go. We are being hunted." I nodded and tried to get up. My limbs didn't want to cooperate. A moment later, I once again found myself riding the zebra, slung over her back like an old carpet. I blushed with embarrassment and hoped I didn't bleed all over her. I wondered what riding like this would do to my wounds on my breast, and how well the magical bandages had healed my other injuries. My left shoulder no longer hurt, and my right leg felt only mildly sprained. Zenith picked up my saddlebags with her teeth, and then added them across her flanks along with her sack of apothecary supplies. I helped tie it to her securely. My striped companion crept through the floor swiftly yet cautiously, clearly trying to keep us ahead of something. I knew we were being hunted by stern slavers, but something about this felt different. My thoughts turned dark. After the Super Alicorn, I wasn't ready for another surprise opponent. "What's after us?" I asked, dreading the answer. "Winter," Zenith whispered in an ominous tone. My painkiller-fogged mind fought to make sense of that. "It's summer," I responded blandly. The zebra snorted. "Red-Eye Cyberdog, winter is tracking our scent." My mind replayed part of the broadcast from Red-Eye that I had found particularly striking. "I was fortunate beyond my deserving, to be blessed with safe places to roam, security from the fiends and horrors of the equestrian wasteland, and companionship in the form of my beloved dog, Winter. Oh, the adventures we had!" If he was but a colt at that time, the dog should have passed away naturally from old age. But now I imagined that instead of letting that happen, he'd cybernetically enhanced it, replacing part after part as each failed. It was macabre. I groaned. I really, really needed to get out of Philadelphia. We made it up 2 flights of stairs without trouble. 3 times, Zenith managed to creep past slavers unnoticed, even with me on her back. As we passed an open office, I could see the overhang of eaves out the window, shadowed in the light of a setting sun that turned the world outside the color of a bloody river. We were almost to the roof. I heard a low, tinny growl. I looked back. Behind us, I saw a half-robotic dog stalking towards us. Winter was more machine than animal. His brain was encased in a lightly glowing
Star Wars
head
for the
which looked
fucking
so
win!
shockingly like that of a brain bot that I began to assume it wasn't ponies, but pet dogs whose brains were used for those awful things. Winter's forepaws ended in claws that looked like they were made from the claw tips of hellhounds. Even Zenith didn't want to fight that thing. The zebra bolted, galloping as fast as she could. Winter howled and gave chase, the glow of his brain case shifting to crimson. I wished I still had the automatic rifle, or, for that matter, any weapon at all. Somehow, I didn't think I could strike it down with baleful looks. We made it to the stairwell marked roof access, the cyberdog nipping at Zenith's hoofs. I realized belatedly that the dog could have jumped and started tearing me apart, but it chose not to. We were being corralled. I turned toward Zenith. Before I could, we burst out onto the roof. Zenith skidded to a stop, trapped between the Ministry of Morale roof and the cloudy blood-red sky. The anchored Pinkie Pie balloon was still there, but so were two others, with a third closing in. Half a dozen anti-machine rifles were trained in our direction. With a clear note of sarcasm, Zenith asked, "Still going according to plan, right?" Winter came up behind us and stopped, as if guarding the door back. I closed my eyes, waiting for the shot. But the sniper ponies were hesitating, waiting for something. The growl behind us gave Zenith a clue. Red Eyes is coming. So, the bastard was going to take care of us himself. Fuck that. "Oh, come on!" I yelled up at the giant inflated Pinkie Pie heads. "Just do it already." I was exhausted. The painkillers were wearing off, and the pain was beginning to flood back in. A pillar of golden flame, tinged with balefire green, shot out of the Philadelphia crater. The bolt of light reached its apex and spread out wings that flared across the sky like a second sun. Pyrelight dipped and swooped towards us, burning with an aura of emerald and gold nearly 100 times her size.
Fuck yeah!
The creatures of radiation do not merely heal in its presence. If
They grow
absorb enough,
stronger!
they grow stronger, more powerful. Sorry, Celestian Luna, for every bad thing I thought. The incoming Pinkie Pie balloon erupted in flame just at Pyrelight's passing. The majestic harbinger opened her beak, and bright green balefire blasted out, tearing across the roof above us.
Fuck yeah!
All three of the Pinkie Pie balloons ignited, becoming infernos. Bits of burning balloon and slaver flesh rained down on us as the blazing zeppelins began to collapse, sinking toward...
I bought Battlefield 1 recently, and all I can think of the fucking Zeppelin getting shot down.
towards the amusement park below. I hoped nastily that it was full of slavers surrounding the building. "Go Pyrelight!" I cheered, clopping my hooves in applause. Zenith
Now
stared
get the
upwards,
dog!
having lost the very notion of speech. The cyberdog panicked and fled down the stairwell. Pyrelight swooped around. I could see the energy she absorbed was already bleeding off of her, like the scintillating waves that came off the black alicorn. The bird dived, and I thought I could hear the crackling of fire and the sound of slaver screams below. I was so overjoyed at the turn of events that it took me several minutes to realize Pyrelight had incinerated what I had hoped to be our ride. We were still trapped in Philadelphia.
God damn it,
Our
Pyrelight.
capture was as ignominious as it was inevitable. I found myself staring through a haze of red, not a fault of my own vision, but a property of the room we had been marched into. The air was filled with some sort of odd steam. My already strained lungs pitched a fit as I attempted to breathe it. Red lamps lined the room, diffusing their light to make the air take on a sickening scarlet tint. There was a line on the floor that the well-armed griffins beside us had warned us not to cross. Winter crouched nearby, ready to launch himself at the first to run. With his Zenith skills, I thought it might still be possible to fight our way out of the situation, but the very idea made me want to drop from weariness. Red Eyes trotted in through a door on the opposite wall next to a large dark screen. He raised a hoof, and the griffins flanking us took their leaves. I heard them lock and bar the door behind us. "Little Pip," he said graciously. "Sit. Relax. I mean you no harm." Obviously, the same couldn't be said for us. I was still processing the mere notion that Red-Eye would lock himself in a room with us when Zenith charged at him, murder in her eyes. She slammed against an invisible wall hard enough that she was lucky she didn't break her neck. I stared around and realized suddenly the reason for the odd atmosphere. "You're reddening the mist to conceal an alicorn shield," I surmised aloud. I was actually slightly impressed. You must have at least 2 of the green ones doing their statue thing just behind the walls. Red-Eye beamed at me. Literally, in the mist, the line of red shooting from his cybernetic eye was clearly visible. "I wanted us to be able to talk freely, without any pony attacking any pony else." He shot a wry look at the recovering zebra.
Damn, it's 10 more minutes. I gotta stop. We're already over 30, but this